But when Aaron was at Qualtrics, they had a lot of sales tools. They had Salesforce, Clary, Gong, Outreach, you name it, they had it. They wanted to answer a very simple question. Despite their sales tech stack, they weren't able to answer the question, how do I know that I've had a great day in sales? Or if I'm a sales leader, how do I know that my team has had a great day in sales? Or in other words, how do we know that we've won the day? And in order to address this question,
GTMAI podcast with Jonathan Moss and Coach K, where you get the latest with AI and GTM today.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the GTMAI podcast. I am Coach K, aka Jonathan Carford, or maybe it's Jonathan Carford, aka Coach K. It's one of those two AKAs. But I'm pleased and excited to have Ryan from Alysio. So excited to have you. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. You're another fellow Utahn just around the corner in Lehigh from me, which is awesome. And I met your VP of marketing at the Pavilion event, learned about your tech, was excited when I heard it. I was like, I got to have your CEO on to come talk to me. So I'm really appreciative of your time.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Before we dive in, we have a lot to talk about. But before we get to the specifics, I want to know about you, like your personal journey, show me your background. I know someone could read your LinkedIn. So tell me the non-LinkedIn version of what the journey of Ryan's looked like and why you're doing now what you're doing now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great. Yeah, great question. And again, excited to be on here. I come from a non-traditional background when it comes to sales. So I love finance. I started my career in finance, studied finance, jumped in to Goldman Sachs right after undergrad, which is where Aaron, my co-founder, and I met. I've always had, just an interest in the financial markets and financials within a company. And so anyway, I spent a few years at Goldman Sachs, had a good experience there, but I always had the desire to build something. I always wanted to build something. And what was interesting is I think Aaron had that same desire. So he and I worked together, sat right by each other day in, day out. So we got to know each other very well. And we recognized this passion that we both had to eventually build something. So anyway, I left Goldman, joined a small data analytics company, helped them build out their go-to-market team and strategy, was learning on the fly. It was a great experience. And then I went and did an MBA program. During my MBA program, I always had, again, that desire to go and build something. And so not long after I graduated, Aaron called me with this idea, which is now Alysio. After Goldman, he went and started selling at Qualtrics, Okta, Lacework. So spent about 8 years selling, great experience, and was able to come up with this idea that we're working on right now. And so anyway, initially started in finance, but now in build mode, which is where I've always wanted to be.
I love hearing, I'm a little bit jealous because I love when people are in the building mode of what they love. I love hearing that. So give me some background. What is the problem statement you guys have and what is Alysio aiming to solve for?
Yeah. So when Aaron was at Qualtrics, they had a lot of sales tools. They had Salesforce, Clary, Gong, Outreach, you name it, they had it. They wanted to answer a very simple question. Despite their sales tech stack, they weren't able to answer the question, how do I know that I've had a great day in sales? Or if I'm a sales leader, how do I know that my team has had a great day in sales? Or in other words, how do we know that we've won the day? And in order to address this question, they came up with a spreadsheet and they assigned weightings to each revenue generating activity. So 10 cold calls could be a point, one demo set could be 2 points. And it was up to everyone to go and get 10 points every day. If they did that, they knew they had a good day and their manager knew they had a good day. And they quickly realized there was this correlation between the teams that were using this spreadsheet and those that were going to President's Club and hitting quota. So by focusing on those lead indicators and doing them day in and day out, they were outperforming other teams. So Aaron saw success at Qualtrics, wanted to put this spreadsheet to the test. So he took it to Okta, took it to Lacework, saw similar results. And that's when he called me and said, hey, why don't we try and productize this? It feels like there's a gap when it comes to sales accountability, helping teams focus on the metrics that really drive results, but doing it in a way that's engaging and fun for the team and that creates a positive culture. So that's the reason and the pain that we're setting out to address.
I love it. So you guys launched this year recently, pretty much? Right?
We started selling just over a year ago.
Nice. Okay. So tell me, I'm curious from your lens, because now you have all this aggregated data you have at your fingertips from different teams. Like, what are you seeing pop up that you're surprised by? What's the data you're seeing from sales team that's interesting? I didn't know that was the thing. Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. So we have insight into hundreds of different metrics that teams are tracking. And again,
Yeah.
part of our value prop is to help you identify the metrics that are gonna lead to results. And what we've realized is that in today's environment, it takes unique approaches in order to get conversations with your ICP. One example that we've seen recently that we're doing ourselves and that a lot of our customers are doing is actually getting a physical gift. We like to use donuts. You can use whatever you want, but getting some sort of
Yeah.
physical gift or food and actually going into the office, dropping it off, trying to make a personal connection so that you can get a conversation with your ICP. And I think in today's world, there's definitely the volume play. And I think that's worked better in the past. I don't think it's working as well right now, just because one downside of AI is that you can automate emails very easily. You can automate calling easily. And so I think it's taking a personalized touch in order to get conversation. So it's maybe a counterintuitive metric because it doesn't necessarily, it may not be as scalable as calling or emailing, but
Yeah.
getting a personal touch is going a long way in today's environment.
Yeah, I have this theory, and one of the trends I'm calling out in another report is this the whole thing around if AI, like with HeyGen, can duplicate my Zoom presence, if I can have my voice duplicated, have my writing duplicated, have everything duplicated, so that means that pretty much everything digital can be duplicated. The only way to really trust if you're talking to a human is in person or
Yeah.
some sort of live aspect. So I think that you're onto something there with that whole connection thing. Do you see like that I don't know if that's a pattern. Do you see that kind of pattern across different teams starting to erupt of more of that more personable human to human connection type thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think people are incentivizing, teams are incentivizing sellers to go out and have lunch with their prospective customers or taking them to an event. So I think that personalized touch is a huge difference maker in today's world. And on the flip side of that, I think AI is getting to the point where it can, to your point, can feel a personalized touch point. I think you're able to personalize emails in a way that sounds like it's you and that you've actually come up with a well-crafted email.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that nuanced approach or that personalized approach is making a lot of difference right now.
Yeah, I think so too. So in Alysio, when you're looking at your different metrics and stuff, I have 2 questions for you. Are there metrics that you have seen come up that you feel like that most teams should adopt that don't? Like what bubbles up that you're like, "Hey, this is important." That
Yeah,
you have adopted?
yeah, absolutely. And it's a great question because I think a lot of teams resort to metrics that live in your CRM, tracking emails, calling meetings. Of course, you want to track those
Right.
activities, but there are certain metrics that you may not necessarily be able to track in your CRM. For example, it's really hard to track LinkedIn messages in your CRM. I know it's getting easier, but up until recently, it's been difficult. Referrals is another one. People don't incentivize or track asking for or receiving referrals. And so those are
Yeah.
two that come to mind. When customers onboard to Alysio, we provide or suggest a good day framework that they can start with, and then they can tweak it over time. But two metrics that aren't often tracked are asking for and receiving referrals and then messaging on LinkedIn. And when you incentivize those two activities, we're seeing a ton of success from our customers.
I love that. So referrals are so powerful too because it's just obviously nearbound. It's always easier than just outbound stuff. But how walk me through because I haven't actually used your product yet. I've just seen it in demo with your team.
Yeah.
Is it something where the sales rep just says, "Hey, I did a referral," so it's an honor system based thing, or how do they track that?
Yeah, yeah, great question. It is an honor-based system. The data is visible to everyone. So I can go in and I can see, okay,
So,
Jonathan, how
so
many
you got to come through with it, right? If I have 5 referrals, it
exactly.
better be 5 referrals. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I can see exactly how many referrals, how many LinkedIn messages Jonathan did
yeah,
today, last week, this month. So we make the data very transparent.
yeah. That's pretty smart. Curious, and I'm going to ask the question I think people might be asking because I asked the same question when your VP of marketing told me about the story around the spreadsheets and stuff. What and I'm asking this because I know there's a difference. Why would someone just do the spreadsheet versus using a tool? What's the advantage they have versus the spreadsheet? Which I already can know that, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, for small teams, a spreadsheet might work. Once you get past 5 or so reps, it becomes really cumbersome. And part of our value is providing real-time insight into what everyone's doing on a day-to-day basis. And so if you have a
Yeah.
spreadsheet, one rep might update it in real time, but another rep might update it at the end of the day. And a lot of our value is driving productivity through data visibility. So if I see that Jonathan is at 12 points today, he's done 60 activities, I can go in and see, okay, I want to catch up to Jonathan. I want to get at
Right.
least at his
Yeah.
level. And so I think with the spreadsheet, there's the manual element where that can be cumbersome. And then I think looking at historic data has always been a challenge for customers. And so consolidating
Right.
that data, being able to pull out trends. And so we provide meaning or a story behind that data as opposed to just tracking it. So one of our largest customers, they were using a spreadsheet. They had about 3 teams on a spreadsheet. They had a tab for each team. They could
That's
create
big.
a new
Yeah.
tab each quarter. And so anyway, there wasn't an efficient way to consolidate all that data and actually draw insight from it.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I've been in the spreadsheet days, and now the AI has come. Oh, thank the Lord, because sometimes with spreadsheets, it's a pain. But dude, I'll give you a side story. I was a director of enablement and sales. I had this weird hybrid role where I was over this resale team, and this was 6 years ago. So we had to use spreadsheets for everything. It was the worst pain in the neck to do because I had to manage it all as a leader. And like listening to you, I'm like, oh, it would have been so nice to have a platform to do this in versus just a spreadsheet to do this kind of stuff because it's crazy.
More
Curious.
and I love spreadsheets. That's the ironic
I do too,
but
because you're in finance. You like spreadsheets, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Tell me this, what are you finding any, I don't know what the right word is, correlation, causation? I don't know what the right word is,
Yeah.
or any connection between the activities you're doing and then because you said before the whole reason why they did the spreadsheet in the first place was because of revenue gains or
Yes.
to performance. So are you able to see we know if certain point is hit here based on a sales cycle, we could actually project and look forward and say forecasting wise, we know we're on pace to do whatever because of the point system working the way it is. You ever see something like that?
Yeah. We
Quick ad break. Unlock your AI edge with GTM AI Academy. We've got actionable tools and insights tailored for sales, marketing, enablement, RevOps, GTM leaders, and GTM teams. Plus, grab our free demo tools library to level up today. Visit gtmaiacademy.com.
Yeah, so right now, this is a related note, and may not directly answer your question, but we have
Yeah.
within our platform, we have a skill versus will visual. And so you can see exactly, okay, who is putting in the will? Are they doing their 10 points each day? Are they going above and beyond? And then how does that activity relate to outcomes? And so we'll track either quota attainment or meeting set, whatever that might be, depending on if you're an SDR or an AE. And so you can quickly see, okay, Jonathan, he's doing 12, 13, 14 points per day, but quota attainment's low or meeting set are low. At that point, it's a skill issue. And that's when we're able to identify where that
Right.
skill gap is. And then we can provide coaching to help you improve. And then on the flip side, you could have someone whose quota attainment is a bit higher, but they're only doing 5 or 6 points per day. One theme we're hearing right now is everyone needs to do more with less. So for those individuals, you can encourage them to increase their activity, even though they're doing better from a quota attainment perspective. The often sales leaders want to get their most out of their team and make sure that everyone is being as productive as possible.
Yeah. So what do you feel like with this whole concept with people who are familiar with this, they probably get it and get into it, but I'm sure you're talking to people who are new to the concept in general. Like, what do you feel like is the shift in their brain they have to make in order to kind of transition to more of this kind of the system you're talking about? Like, what's the thing you feel like they have to let go of to take on this new strategy plan?
Yeah, and I'm sure you can relate. I think pretty much the main goal of every sales leader is to go and hit their number. And
Yeah.
we were able to provide, yes, some people are familiar with the point system and implementing a point system to drive productivity and to track activities. I think for those who aren't familiar with it, we always lead with, hey, we understand that your most important goal is to hit your number. And here's a methodology that we've proven out time and time again that's going to help you get there. And so we provide that roadmap on how they can get there. And we try and
Yeah.
do it in a very user-friendly way. Like we built the platform with the rep in mind. And so our whole goal is to help reps go and hit their number and also help the sales leaders hit their number. And
Yeah.
so I think how we overcome that is just by outlining how easy it is to implement and how flexible it is. So we're not coming in and saying, hey, everyone needs to do these 6 to 10 KPIs. Here's a
Right.
starting point. Here's a framework, but let's work with you to adjust those lead indicators so that you can optimize your good day framework.
I love that. When you are looking at, I'm really curious on the AI stuff of this because I know we talked about things, which to me, I'm like, I haven't heard AI yet. So tell me this: Are you leveraging your own models? Do you leverage just the open AIs, APIs? What models are you using? And then tell me more about the AI side of it when they're putting in their metrics. what happens with the AI side?
Yeah, great. So and this is what's most exciting to us. I think when we set out to do this, we knew AI would play a huge role.
Yeah.
And then with the chat GPT coming out, it
Yeah.
was perfect timing. So yes, we leverage OpenAI for our platform. And if you think about what we're doing, the starting point is tracking activities, identifying activities that people should be focused on, helping them track those activities, pinpointing where the weaknesses might lie. And then we want to close that loop by providing insight or coaching to help the reps become better. And so how we're leveraging AI right now
Cool.
is by identifying those gaps. So for example, if there's a rep who's making a ton of calls, but not setting any meetings, we know we're able to detect that, okay, there's a gap when it comes to cold calling. Maybe they're reaching out to the wrong people. Maybe their messaging is wrong. Whatever that might be, we're able to detect that and then provide coaching. So that individual can come in and say, okay, here's a new script that I could try. First, let's double check that we're reaching out to the right people. Second, here's a few different scripts I could try with the ultimate goal of helping increase that call, that set conversion rate. And so and again, we're doing that from top of funnel all the way down, pinpointing those gaps, leveraging AI, and then helping them improve their skill set.
Yeah. The question I have is, are you able to access, I mean, obviously you do because of you have some sort of, I'm assuming integration to CRM or some sort of data. So when you have the coaching, is it like you giving the rep coaching or is it you giving the manager coaching to help the rep? Like, what does that output look like from that?
Yeah, great question. So we go directly to the rep. We can
Uh-huh.
provide our own coaching, but one thing that we recognize is that a lot of teams have their own playbooks. And so we wanted to be able
Yeah.
to leverage AI using our customers' playbooks if they exist. And so that's what's great with obviously with AI. We can essentially upload a playbook and then leverage AI to coach based on that customer's playbook. So you can approach it from two different perspectives. We'll continue to refine the Alysio coaching over time, but also have the ability to incorporate our customers' playbooks as well.
Yeah. That's what I love about AI is the just ability to mesh or shift or use different sources of data into one is just awesome. I love
And
it.
couldn't agree more. Jonathan, I'm curious.
Yes.
I know you're exposed to a lot of tools out there.
Yeah.
What models are most common in kind of the sales world? Are people using a combination or is it
Oh,
open AI?
yeah, it depends. Like I know this already, but there's lots of different types of technology. There's the RAGs, and then there's the automation RPA automations. You have all these different types. But as far as the Gen AI point of view, most teams are using usually one of the four, either Gemini, Claude, OpenAI, or Llama. One of those
Mhm.
four usually. OpenAI has made it really easy to work with them. So is Claude. So they're usually the top two I hear about the most. And what I'm hearing about more is I wouldn't say battling things together, but almost like a very dumbed down version of the agentic flow so that they're using two different models to analyze two different
Yeah.
points and come out with the results to make sure that the result is better. So,
Yes.
so what's it called? A recursive learning flow with two different models, which is cool.
We've
So
started to explore that approach as well. We're also experimenting with Claude. So yeah, that's good to
yeah,
see.
it's cool. It's cool stuff. And like literally this week, Google had their 2.0 release of Gemini, which is like phenomenal as far as the number. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but like the numbers is like awesome. Personally speaking, there's strengths and weaknesses to each model, but ultimately it's the magic to me is like what you're adapting that model to, like with your technology of using the point-based system and helping with coaching stuff. That's where the real power comes in. Cause if you can prompt decently, then everything else is just, it's awesome. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Tell me this internally, if I can ask you first, what tools are you using besides I'm sure ChatGPT or something? What are the AI tools that you're using as a CEO in your seat building a team? What are you leveraging right now?
Yeah, definitely ChatGPT. That's probably number one. We've experimented with Gong, which I think has great AI functionality, especially from both from the IC and manager perspective, being able to look at your deals and then analyze your calls, send recaps. So I think that's been impressive to see. We use HubSpot for our CRM, so I know they've had some AI
Nice.
functionality where you can essentially query the data, leveraging AI to streamline some of those insights and make it easier to analyze the data. So that's something that we've been using. Copy AI is another one that we've been exploring on the marketing front, which is a great platform. And then I think from when you think about the sales tech stack, obviously sequencing is a common methodology or a common tool, and personalizing those outbound emails I think has a lot of power, like we talked about earlier. We're leveraging Apollo right now to do
Cool.
that. We're experimenting with the personalization in those outbound emails to increase our open and reply rates. So those are just a few that come to mind.
I'm curious, you probably obviously use your tool, you probably dog food it, I'm sure. So tell me
100%.
your view as a CEO, what's the metric you're using your tool for to measure that you're like, I like that number? What is that thing?
Okay. Sorry, just say that one more time.
From your seat as a CEO of your
Okay.
team, whatever metric that your team is using, there's probably one or two or three that you're like, that's the one I like to pay attention to. What's the one for you that it is right now?
Yeah. So for us, we have three AEs on our team right now, and then Aaron and I are selling as well. We try and spend
Right.
90% of our day selling. So I think that the metric that we're looking at most, obviously, our ARR figure is number one. If you're familiar with the 4 disciplines of execution, our
Oh, yeah.
WIG or wildly important goal is our ARR figure. So everything we do supports getting us to our ARR goal. So right now, besides ARR, we're looking at meeting set. So that is our number one goal throughout the
Mhm.
day. And we're leveraging Alysio to make sure that we're being as productive as possible, that we're hitting our 10 points to get us to the meeting set that we want. And then obviously we have our conversion rates thereafter as far as opportunities go and close one. But yeah, that meeting set number is what excites us the most and what we're focused on day in and day out.
I love that. I once upon a time used to work for Franklin Covey. I'm certified in the 40X. So I
Oh,
love that you
no
brought that
way.
up because,
Oh,
yeah,
I
because
love
I'm
that.
like, the fact that you know that and you're probably leveraging it and probably teach other people that, I'm like, oh, music to my ears because it's such a cool framework. It's awesome.
It's my favorite. So it's interesting because
Yeah.
we built Alysio, we were pitching it to a prospective customer, and the customer said, "Hey, have you guys read the 4 disciplines of execution?" And I had never even heard of it.
Oh, yeah?
And
Yeah.
so we ended up reading it as a team, and it was just right in line with what
Oh,
the
yeah.
product is doing and
Yeah.
helping.
It's right what you guys do. It's perfect for that kind of stuff. It's awesome. Last question for you. And this is more of you, like what you're excited about. I'd ask this in two parts. Like coming in 2025, a year from now, I know an AI is like a lifetime, but like for my question is, what are you excited about both from your company's point of view of AI, what's coming, and then from just AI in general? What are you excited?
Yeah, our motto is empower the individual, or in other words, we want to improve each and every rep that uses Alysio. So I think what excites us most about AI is that it can help us fulfill our mission, which is improving everyone's skill set that uses Alysio. And so I think the early phase of rolling out our AI and helping our customers from a skill set perspective, that'll continue to develop, get better and better each and every month. Like you alluded to, things move quickly. So I think that's really exciting for us being able to fulfill our mission leveraging AI. And then I think in general, just thinking about AI from the go-to-market perspective, I think there are a lot of tools out there right now that have good intent, but aren't super helpful in practice. We're starting to see signs of these tools becoming more and more useful. And so I think if you think about over the next year, I'm sure there are going to be a number of tools that are able to actually leverage AI to help teams improve. And I think that's what's exciting. And a lot of it, I think what's interesting, exciting, maybe a little bit nerve wracking is I'm sure there's going to be a number of things that we can't really envision right now
Yeah.
that come to be because of AI. So I think that's exciting to think about. I don't know what it looks like, but it seems like the future is really exciting from a go-to-market perspective because of AI.
Yeah. Do you see, I know I asked you one question. We have 3 minutes left. I'm going to keep my time with you.
Yeah.
Is there anything there's this talk around AI SDRs or AI sales engineers or AI taking spot of it?
Yeah.
Like your view as a CEO and also as just a buyer, a human being, is there anything that you would want to have an AI do for you in the sales process or not do for you? What do you think about that?
Yeah. I've thought about this a lot, and I think it depends on who you're selling to. I think if it's a longer sales cycle, more complicated sell, then I don't see or would want AI coming in and helping with that process. If it's a quicker sales cycle, or maybe even more of a PLG motion, I could see AI having a huge benefit. And I think with AI SDRs, I could see that playing a large role for, again, maybe shorter sales cycle, maybe simpler products, more of a PLG motion. So I just think it depends. It depends on the company. I definitely think there's a world for AI SDRs, but again, I think it depends on sales cycle and product.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd 1,000% agree with you. And I also think too, there's some things about the buyer's process. It's like Uber. If you told us 20 years ago we get in a stranger's car and go somewhere we don't know where we're going, we'd either say no. But now it's I don't want to take a taxi because I'd like to have where the GPS is where I'm going and all this stuff and have ratings of my driver. It's just funny. It just I don't know if we know yet what the buyer's going to be pushing for. And I think that's going to determine a lot of this. We just don't know. But to your point, I think the more complex it is, it means the more humans need to be involved, which means less AI in those interactions. So I think you're spot on. Well, man, Alysio, Alysio.ai is your website. I'll make sure I have it in the
Perfect.
show notes. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we connect on LinkedIn. We're active on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect. And then if people want any additional information, you can reach out to me directly, Ryan@Alysio.ai or info@Alysio.ai.
Awesome. Love it. Ryan, my pleasure having you. Thank you so much and appreciate your time today.
Hey, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.